After watching Washington Commanders training camp in person, one thing became clear beyond any doubt: this team's ceiling is legitimately high. Not a guarantee of anything, not a Super Bowl proclamation, just genuine confirmation that the raw pieces for real contention are actually there. But alongside that exciting takeaway come four honest concerns worth tracking closely as camp continues. Let's break down both sides of this equation. Let's start with why this year genuinely feels different from recent seasons, including the surprising run to the conference championship game. That previous playoff run, as memorable as it was, wasn't built on elite talent or elite coaching. It was built on outstanding individual quarterback play from Jayden Daniels, dramatic fourth-quarter comebacks, some favorable fourth-down luck, and standout individual seasons from a couple of veteran linebackers. Beyond that, the actual talent level across this roster simply wasn't there. Comparing last year's opening week depth chart to this year's is genuinely night and day. The single biggest chess piece driving that transformation is edge rusher Odafe Oweh. Statistically, he was already playing at a genuinely elite level last season, even without a true featured workload given the depth chart he was working behind. Through the first several days of camp, he's continued looking like the best individual player on the entire field, showing off real burst and pass rushing moves capable of beating even elite offensive tackles like Laramie Tunsil. On the other side, developing pass rusher Chase Young has flashed real explosiveness of his own working against Josh Conerly Jr., who himself looks improved compared to his rookie season. But it's not just Oweh and Young. This defense has added genuine size and length across the board without sacrificing athleticism. Multiple defensive linemen now check in at 320 pounds or heavier, while athletic linebackers and safeties like Sonny Styles and Nick Cross bring legitimate size combined with real-timed speed. That combination of mass, length, and athleticism creates exactly the kind of disruptive presence up front that's been missing from this roster for a very long time. Both rushing the passer and closing passing windows in coverage. The scheme itself deserves real credit too. This defense shows genuinely unpredictable looks from snap to snap, double mug pressure looks on early downs, quarters-based coverage principles the next play, split field coverage disguises paired with simulated pressure on third down. There's no clear tendency to key on, with alignments shifting between 3-man, 4-man, and hybrid fronts constantly. That's a genuinely modern, cutting-edge defensive approach, reminiscent of some of the most difficult-to-diagnose schemes in the entire league, and it's already shown up in some of Jayden Daniels' own early camp struggles adjusting to it in practice, which speaks to just how difficult it will be for opposing offenses to prepare for as well. Offensively, the scheme looks every bit as promising. There's real evidence of under-center work, play-action concepts, and a heavy dose of pre-snap motion, all elements strongly correlated across the league with high-scoring offensive units. Combine that scheme with legitimate talent like Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and an increasingly impressive rookie in Antonio Williams, who continues winning consistently off the line of scrimmage, even on days when the box score doesn't fully reflect it, and the offensive ceiling looks every bit as real as the defensive one. Now, let's get into the honest concerns, because acknowledging real ceiling potential doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. First, the receiver room beyond Terry McLaurin and Antonio Williams still needs to prove itself, particularly in a true wide receiver 2 role. During drills further away from the goal line, the receivers as a whole have shown real ability to separate and get open. But closer to the end zone, where a genuine number 2 threat typically provides the most value, that's where an outside addition could genuinely matter most. Keep a close eye on Stephon Diggs this week specifically. There's real competition from other suitors, but Washington remains squarely in that conversation. Second, there's a fair question worth asking about cornerback Rasul Douglas. Is he really playing this well? Or is some of this performance being amplified by facing an offense still installing its own new system? Through the first several practices, he's looked like a legitimate all-pro corner, making plays all over the field, picking off a pass in one session and nearly coming away with another. This particular scheme genuinely seems to fit him like a glove. There's a reasonable, healthy skepticism worth maintaining here, though, simply because defenses dominating early camp practices is such a common pattern this time of year. Still, signing a proven veteran with a track record of real production tends to produce exactly this kind of result. So there's real reason to believe this isn't purely a mirage. Third, there's a genuine kicker concern brewing. When fans showed up for the first time and real competitive pressure entered the equation through fire drill field goal drills, one of the two kickers in this competition started missing kicks he'd otherwise been making cleanly. Given how much this specific special teams unit has cost this team in actual games over recent seasons, seeing any sign of shakiness under pressure, even in practice, is worth monitoring closely heading into real preseason and regular season action. And finally, the biggest concern of them all, the center position. Nick Allegretti was already considered a legitimate question mark heading into this season, and now he's dealing with a calf issue on top of that existing uncertainty. He's reportedly expected back this week, which would be great news, but he remains a real question mark heading into a season opener against a genuinely difficult interior defensive front. If he goes down again or isn't fully right, neither of the current fallback options at center profile is ready to handle that responsibility at a high level in a real game setting just yet. That matters enormously for this offense's broader identity too, since the explosive passing concepts this system wants to run are specifically designed to be set up by a strong, effective running game first. In the limited unpadded viewing available so far, the interior offensive line hasn't been consistently winning that specific battle, which is a real point of concern worth monitoring closely as pads come on and real contact begins. So here's where things stand with this team heading deeper into training camp. A genuine, confirmed high ceiling built on real talent upgrades and genuinely modern. Sophisticated schemes on both sides of the football. And 4 legitimate concerns worth tracking closely: receiver depth beyond the top 2 names, healthy skepticism about just how much of Rasul Douglas's early dominance is sustainable, a kicking competition that wobbled under its first real taste of pressure, and a center position that remains a genuine question mark heading toward the regular season. The ceiling is real. Where this team actually lands between that ceiling and a more modest outcome remains to be seen, and that's exactly what the rest of camp and preseason will help determine. So tell us, which of these 4 concerns worries you the most heading into the season, and are you buying into Rasul Douglas's early camp dominance as the real deal? Or do you think it's being amplified by a still developing offense? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a single update as training camp continues to unfold. There's a lot more to track in the days ahead, and we'll be right back here with the next update very soon. Hail to the Commanders!